Hi, I'm Mark Polk with RV Education 101. In our RV Living on 30 Amps video, I briefly explained why RVs with a 30 amp electrical system experience problems when too many power-hungry devices are used at the same time. Using a simple formula, I explained that 120 volts times 30 amps equals 3,600 watts. This means an RV with a 30 amp electrical service cannot exceed a maximum of 3,600 watts or 30 amps. There's a link below in the description that goes to the Living on 30 Amps video. Today I want to briefly discuss how a 50 amp RV electrical service works in simple terms. Let's get started. The plug on the power cord on an RV with a 30 amp service has 3 prongs. This is a 30 amp campground receptacle. There's a 120 volt hot wire, a neutral wire, and a ground wire. I mentioned earlier this equates to having a maximum of 30 amps or 3,600 watts available in the RV. A 30 amp electrical service is used on RVs that don't have large electrical demands or load requirements. There's typically one roof air conditioner, a microwave or convection oven, a refrigerator, a television, and several outlets throughout the RV to power 120 volt appliances and devices. Larger RVs and RVs equipped with 2 or more roof air conditioners, residential style appliances, entertainment centers, and washers and dryers come equipped with a 50 amp electrical service. On an RV with a 50 amp service, the plug on the power cord has 4 prongs. This is a 50 amp campground receptacle. There are 2 50 amp 120 volt hot wires, a neutral wire, and a ground. This is referred to as a 120-240 split phase service. In simple terms, the 2 50 amp 120 volt hot leads are used to supply 2 separate 50 amp 120 volt legs to the RV's power distribution box. The electrical load in the RV is balanced between these 2 50 amp 120 volt feeds. Using our formula, 120 volts times 50 amps equals 6,000 watts, and because there are 2 50 amp 120 volt lines, the wattage is doubled for a maximum of 12,000 watts. That is a huge difference when compared to a 30 amp service with a maximum of 3,600 watts. And that is why you can use more electricity in an RV with a 50 amp service than you can in an RV with a 30 amp service. If you measure the voltage across both hot leads at the receptacle, you will get a reading of 240 volts. But it's important to understand that a 50 amp RV service uses 2 separate 50 amp 120 volt hot legs to supply power to the RV. A question I get asked frequently is, if you plug a 30 amp RV into a 50 amp service using a 30 to 50 adapter like this, will it increase the amperage in the RV? The answer is no. Your RV is still a 30 amp service. You are simply using an adapter so your 30 amp 3-prong plug can plug into a 50 amp 4-prong plug service. On the other hand, if your RV has a 50 amp service and you use a 50 to 30 amp adapter like this to plug into the 30 amp receptacle at the campground, you limit what you can use in the RV to 3,600 watts. Not to confuse the topic, but I want to mention that some higher end RVs do have appliances that run on 240 volts. All of that is made possible by the way the unit is wired. The majority of RVs with a 50 amp service operate the way we just discussed. There's more to this topic than we talked about here, but hopefully this brief explanation helps clear up some of the confusion. Happy camping!